how much are you hearing from your season ticket holders about wanting a better variety of conference games than what you have?
Yeah, Tony, I think freshness and scheduling, no matter the sport, is really healthy for everybody involved. When we played Missouri a few years ago, it was I believe it was the first time Cal asked for Missouri alum over here. I think it was the first time they'd been to Bryant Denny Stadium.
I believe you're right.
And there was a lot of anticipation about that. That was exciting. I know the story gets told about when Kentucky went to A&M in football a few years ago for the first time, and just the excitement from the Kentucky fan base. Freshness is good. Keeping things alive in that manner, I think, is going to do nothing but help college athletics continue to make sure we stay strong and relevant.
Greg, the interconference transfer, that's something Alabama seemed to propose moving that from February 1st to May 1st. Why does Alabama think that's a good idea?
We talked about that because of basically that's what the NCAA rule is, and making sure that we're on a level playing field. I think there's good debate on both sides about that, to where, you know, anytime we put something forward, we want to hear what everybody else has to say. We'll see where we land on that here in the coming days, but that was a thought process behind that. So we have an opportunity if young men want to come into transfer from one SEC school to another, they have that opportunity the same way they can go to other conferences.
Could that increase the rate of transfers, though, by extending that interconference?
Well, I tell you what, I don't know how you can increase the rate of transfers much more than where we are right now.
To go back to scheduling for a second, the short term with the 8 versus 9, I get that, but the implication is not getting rid of divisions. And Greg had said yesterday it's going to be probably one division format regardless.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Since that came out of the Pac-12's proposal, and they've already made their move as well, you were there. In the long run, if we play this out a little bit, do you think that could actually be a catalyst to further realignment and expansion of conferences if you get rid of the divisional aspect or geographic aspect of scheduling? Over, we're talking 5-10 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have said to me 5 years ago that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State could split up, I would have said I don't see that. So right now, I don't think you can ever discount any possibility. I don't think there's a huge desire right now to continue to see musical chairs in college sports. Could it happen? Yes, but I don't think that scenario, as far as getting rid of divisions, is going to drive that any more than anything else right now.
Jimbo told reporters to go look into your coach's program, dig it up. What was your reaction to that?
I think Coach Fisher was he was fired up, and I think he has worked with Coach Saban, and obviously has benefited from working with Coach Saban, just like a lot of other coaches have, and so I know we feel very good about our compliance and what we do at Alabama, and that's been in the past and it's going to continue in the future.
What has the discussion been like with you guys as far as NIL and what you guys can do about so many changing things right now?
Yeah, the world's evolving. NIL is here; it's a reality. There were no guardrails put in place, and so it has created new challenges. But those challenges aren't going to go away right now. So what we have to do is make sure that we're open-minded, that we are following whatever the guidelines are that are in place. I do think, I'm going to go over to the transfer side. When we started talking about the transfer portal, and there were a lot of advocates saying, hey, this is great, coaches can move, ADs can move, I moved, okay? And so there should be that same flexibility. I get that in concept. The idea of it is healthy. There's a few things. One, I know all of you, when you were 18 to 22 years old, you made great decisions at all times, right? I know you used to be surprised, but I didn't. I do think having things in place to learn how to fight through adversity and challenge is a good thing and part of the maturation process of any young person, okay? Number two, and the story that's not getting told a whole lot, it's some of you have paid attention to it, but there's a lot of young men and young women who have gone in the transfer portal that don't have another place to go to because a new opportunity or another young man or young woman is filling that role at times. It's changing the recruitment of high school kids. Is that a good thing? One of the things I love about what I get to be a part of is watching 18-year-olds come in and turn into 22-year-olds and hopefully having a little bit of a positive influence on that. And so I think with NIL, it's reality, and what's happened is you hear all of these stories that are out there. Some of them are really good. We have young men and young women in our program who are benefiting greatly from NIL opportunities that are market driven, that are what this was intended to be. But what I also think is happening is that there are people around the young men and young women who will say, go talk to your coach and say, this school is offering me this, what are you going to do? You have no way of verifying that, okay? That's a really hard thing to try to respond to. And so, is there a way to have some checks and balances in there to say, this is legitimate NIL opportunities, there's actions for what they're doing, and that's what this was intended to do. And I think that's what, when Coach Saban talked about it, there's just so much speculation, some of which is accurate, some of which is very inaccurate. And so what we're trying to do is find a way to have this be a long-term healthy solution for college sports, for the young men and the young women that are involved in it, that they have good legitimate opportunities, and that and that broad-based college programs can continue to exist in this new environment, which I think everybody here hopefully would be supportive of, want to see happen. I know I do.
Do you feel like progress has been made this week in that regard?
I don't know if the progress is going to get. I don't know at this point if it can be solved in a few days of destiny.
Sure.
But we're continuing.
Can it be solved at all?
I do think that we're going to need some help. You're going to have opportunities as a conference, I think, for what has been shown by the courts at this point, to do some things. You can't do it collectively as a whole, like all the NCAA, but will there be opportunities for conferences to try to create a path to that? I think in time, but it's not just as simple of a couple days to getting that all figured out. There's a lot of moving parts in it that we have to be very respectful of, that you don't end up getting more litigation added to it because of a rash, quick decision.
How
for one
significant
or
is
two more.
is the threat to Olympic sports in the Caribbean?
Honestly, we at Alabama are very committed to having broad-based programs. We have 21 sports, and by the way, Pat, we do train in the Black Warrior River. I listen to this podcast when I'm walking sometimes, with our rowing team. And but one of the great things about college sports is it is a great diversity of sports and kids from all different backgrounds coming together for the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Washington Huskies, and Nebraska Cornhuskers all across the country, right? And it's one of the great things of that we do to bring people together in our society of all different backgrounds. And I think the leadership in college sports wants to see that continue. And I think you go pull all the athletic directors, all the college presidents and chancellors. We want to see that continue. But as much as people think there is an infinite supply of money, I haven't found that. All those gold bars hiding under Coleman Coliseum yet. And when I do find them, I'll let you know. But we all have to manage our resources within our university environment.
Greg, you have a
Last question.
Yeah,
I was
Ralph.
going to say, to get back to Coach Saban's comments from a couple of weeks ago, I'm curious what your reaction was when his initial comments that started the back and forth between Jimbo.
Coach Saban is very passionate about the game of college football. I sat on the NCAA Football Oversight Committee for 4 or 5 years, and he and I would go talk about different issues that were going on about college football. And I remember one of the first things we ever talked about was kick returns and the safety on kick returns. And I just gave him a very quick line, said, hey, I need to get some feedback on this one. He called me the next day with detailed thoughts about 5 minutes long of kickoff returns and the safety and well-being of the student athlete, the health of the game. And so where he comes from, and there would be times with him, I would say to him, hey, what you're saying here may not be the very best thing for Alabama. And he would often say, but this is right for the game of football. This is right for college sports. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for the things he says and does out there publicly, is not only looking at what's right for our program and our university, but he's also looking at it in our student athletes, but he's also looking at it right for the game of football going forward.